It's funny because I see you standing, and I was like reading over my intro with you, and I was like, man, I feel like I want to stand on this intro. I don't know.
Yeah,
Obviously you command that attention.
I'm not a big sitter. I have too much energy.
Yeah.
Sound like my
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Welcome to episode 55 of the Now podcast, Making Moves in Real Estate. Hey, everyone, it's the General here alongside my co-host, the amazing C Twist. And today's guest is someone who's turning dreams into reality, Mr. Sean McRae, aka Sean Frost. Based in Ottawa, Canada, Sean leads Live Like They Dream Inc. and the Sean Frost Real Estate Team, guiding clients to their dream homes. And beyond real estate, he's a dedicated dad, a music producer, and a proud partner of the professional soccer team, Atletico Ottawa, with a passion for creating a positive impact in his community. Let's dive in and welcome to the show, Mr. Sean Frost. Woo!
Right on. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you guys today.
Well, I want to know where the Sean Frost came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, right out of the gate. So that actually came from the music side. So I started as a music producer when I was still in high school. And, it was just, nobody was really using their full real name. And that was actually a nickname that was given to me growing up. So it just kind of stuck with me and I used that on the music side. So then when I ended up actually getting into the real estate world here in Ottawa, I had been abroad in a few different cities working, but when I was kind of planting things back down in Ottawa and starting the real estate side, nobody knew my last name as McRae. Like nobody knew me as Sean McRae. So, obviously selling, we have to use our legal, our government names. And I was like, oh man, like nobody's going to even know me. So I was able to get through the Sean Frost real estate team so that people would be able to make that association that, oh shoot, like this guy isn't actually named Sean Frost. This is his real name. So
Like Vanilla Ice. I know, I'm judging myself.
My wheels were going like, there's so much you could do with Frost.
Are we going to turn this into a marketing episode?
Ice baby.
I know,
Yeah,
we're old.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Let's get to real estate. So you were a producer or are a producer, and how did you pivot into real estate?
Yeah, so great question. It took me a while to get there actually. When I first came back was kind of transitioning out of the music, quote unquote, growing up a little bit. I had a job, like a 9-to-5 type thing that I enjoyed, but I knew that it wasn't like a be all end all. And I started a general contracting company with a buddy of mine whose English was a second language. And I was kind of working the front end, like the sales and running the business that sense. And then he was doing, of course, the actual construction. And I absolutely hated it. I did it for a couple of years, despised it, was going to bed unhappy, dreading the next morning. And I just felt that burden, that weight on my shoulders of like not letting my buddy down because that was his bread and butter. He needed it to kind of survive and provide for his family. And so that in turn, I was like kind of going to a somewhat of a dead end job during the day and then working, moonlighting and working this general contracting company as well. And I just felt stuck, didn't know anything, didn't know where I wanted to go, was unfulfilled, pretty depressed. And as luck would have it, one of my best friends, he was a real estate agent. He was like, Sean, you got to do this, man. You got to get your license. You'll fly. And I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. I've always been a firm believer in continued education, no matter what form it is, whether it's like, self-taught, online courses, institutional experience, whatever it is. So I was like, okay, well, let's dive in. I've started companies and stuff before. If it's of interest, how hard can it be? And, of course, the hindsight's 2020, but I just basically took the course and dove right in and just was able to implement a lot of stuff that I had learned along my life's journey up to that point into the real estate. So it was about, I'm going on 9 years as an agent now.
Wow. Okay, so going back a little bit with regarding your life's journey, when you were saying you were doing the music producing, is that like the beats? Are you an artist or were you working with other artists? Just out of curiosity, because I have 2 cousins that own Bankroll Got It in LA that do beats, and I just thought that was interesting.
That's awesome. Well, my artist is actually in LA as well. So he's from Ottawa. He's out in LA with, we're aligned with ODA, which is with Polo G, big rapper out of Chicago. But yeah, so I was making beats. So I was basically composing beats we're talking back in the day, selling them, and I had a recording studio as well that I had opened up. So I was running it as an engineer and then doing the music production as well. So I had a rep selling beats kind of across the world for me. And yeah, just grinding and hustling that way. So that's kind of how it all started. And then now that the real estate stuff has taken off, I own 2 custom home building companies, obviously property management and investment companies as well for real estate. I was able to, I had this artist that was brought to my attention about 5 years ago. And yeah, we signed a major deal with Columbia, and he moved out to LA two and a half years ago. So yeah, it's kind of full circle. Wow. It's like I was in it, I got out, always had that missing piece, and then I'm right back into it.
This is super exciting because this is the first time that we've had a music producer on the podcast. So that's cool. So you're a music producer and custom home builder, and you have a team in Canada. What's the makeup of your team look like?
Yeah, so I keep it very small intentionally. I didn't get into the real estate business to manage. So I came into the real estate business because I want to be a producer. So I keep it small. I've got basically 2 junior agents, 2 admins, and an event coordinator. And that's kind of, I keep it tight.
Perfect. The perfect number.
Yeah, we found that that's what we are enjoying too, scaling it back as from the production side of things and having a small production team. It's definitely, I would say it's an easier model to make it, for revenue. For scaling and such, yeah. What type of volume does your team do, or how did it look for you this last year?
So it wasn't too bad. Certainly wasn't the best year I've had. That's partially on my shoulder. Like that's partially on me in terms of my own production. It was, it's still very, very grateful for what I was able to accomplish. Mm-hmm. But I did spend a lot of time elsewhere. So what did we do? Personally, I don't know what the team was last year, but I was in the 30s, like somewhere like 30, 33 to 36 transactions, something around there.
Not bad. Yeah. Especially for the type of market we had this last year.
Yeah, it was tricky. So I am always opposite of everybody else. When everybody's super slammed, I'm like sitting there looking around like, what is going on? Because I'm obviously like doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then when things slow down and everybody's like, oh man, what are we going to do? Like, I can't even sit around for conversations because I'm running around like going crazy. Like everybody's calling me at that time. So it's kind of a joke. It's like for us, like, because, and for you guys, I'm sure as well, but like, if things are slow, like take a vacation, right? Or go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
The moment you do that, like people are calling or something urgent has to go down, right? So it's Murphy's Law. So, but yeah, so I was somewhere around there, like in the 30s for deals, for ends. And I'll be honest, I don't keep track. I know it's not the best thing, but I'm not a numbers driven. I didn't get into the business to be numbers driven. I have an issue where if I start putting numbers as an importance, I get focused and fixated on them. Whereas if I don't, I'm hustling, I'm relentless, and I just keep it moving. And kind of just grateful for what I'm doing and then grateful for the next one. And it's just keep it moving rather than I don't set sales goals and like that for myself because I know that I'll get obsessed with that number and that's not what I do this for.
Put the energy towards other things that bring you joy instead of focusing on the numbers. I feel like it's just coming naturally to you getting the business, it sounds like. And then I was thinking,
Well,
like,
work
what
hard,
kind of
right?
advice? What's that?
We all work hard, right? So as long as you're not taking your foot off the gas, like whether you have a goal of this or this, you're pushing as hard as you possibly can anyway. So the results are going to be the results. Like, I'm not going to force something. I'm not going to put myself in a position where, like, oh, to hit this number, I'm going to have to entice this person to buy this property that I feel maybe might not be the best move for them, just so I can hit a sales goal. It's like, well, that's ethically, that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to give back to the community. I'm trying to build a legacy. I'm trying to help my clients who are friends and family that, right? They come into my circle. They're not just people that are generating revenue for me based off of production, but they have more of an importance to me than that. They're actually part of my life. I don't separate, like my personal and work and business, like from music and family. Like you get all of me. If you know me, you've got me true and true.
Well, I think that you definitely demonstrated your ability to be successful for sure with everything that you've accomplished. A custom home builder too?
I am a licensed custom home builder here. So that's a separate schooling. It's grueling. It was way more expensive than obviously taking the real estate courses, and a lot more intense for sure. So there's not a ton of people that can actually legally build here. Especially like on the smaller end, like the boutique side where I'm building, maybe 4 homes a year type thing. But yeah, it's just another feather in the cap. And again, another accomplishment that I'm super proud of. And that was with the end game of like, a legacy project down the road where like I'm fortunate enough to have some land where I can build my own street. And that's going to be pretty cool for my kid to see, like, as I get older, driving by and being like, not only did I buy and sell that or work with this deal, but it's like, I built this, but then drive down the street and it's like, dad did this,
Aw. So with the homes you're building then, so then you've got the lots, you're building them out. Are you pre-selling them, or how are you structuring that?
So great question. I've done both. So I've done a pre-sale. I don't think I'll do that again. It was a little bit of a headache in terms of like finishing material selections and so it just with the stuff that the homeowner ended up putting in and the way that the transaction kind of finished, it was fine. Everybody was happy, but it wasn't necessarily stuff that I would have, and I know that this isn't necessarily important, but I like to showcase the homes. Obviously, I want to build them and show them off so that I can generate future business and what have you. And I found that some of the selections that were picked were really big drop downs, for like a really big step down from what we were going to include originally. So then when you got the final product, the client was happy, but it was like, man, I just built this like, $1 million house, for example, and like,
yeah, it wasn't reflective.
It was off-brand.
It was off-brand. That's a great way to put it.
It was the frosty.
It wasn't frosty.
No,
yeah,
it definitely was not. No, so no, and I think just in terms of the way that the warranty, like it's called Terry on here. So the way that our warranty works is it is just a little easier, especially even with the lawyers, like on closing and stuff. It's much easier to sell it after you get the occupancy permit.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm sure you get
on the smaller side, it's easier. Yeah.
Okay. I imagine you get asked this because I have my hands in multiple pots and people say, well, how do you do it all? What would you say to that? Because you've got quite a bit of different revenue streams and avenues going on.
And a dad.
And you're a dad.
Well, time management and organization are pretty important. So those are vital. I think the other key is that I was mentioning it before that I don't have that separation. I don't, when we talk about work-life balance, that comes very, very easy to me for a few reasons. One is because I do plan my days out. Like every day is already pre-planned as much as possible, right? So then whenever fires come in, I have the time available to put them out. I'm also in the right mental state to be able to help be reactive when I need to, but I really do try to put an emphasis on being proactive. So, if my son's up at 7, well then, I'm up an hour and a half earlier to make sure that my morning routine of knocking out all the essentials of my day on the real estate side that need to get done. And then the music side's a bit easier because, again, I am working West Coast time. So I'm out in the East Coast. So, even when he goes to bed, like even if he's going to bed at 9, well, it's only 6 p.m. in the East Coast. So I can still put in another hour or 2 hours from 9 to 11 or 9 to midnight if I have to, and do whatever I need to do. And it's not imposing on anybody for a bad time, because if anybody's out on the West Coast, it's still, dinner time or just after dinner type thing.
And how old's your son?
He's 7. So we are inseparable. We are attached at the hip. We do everything together. I am there for drop-offs, pickups every day. And I hustle as hard as I can, because my goal is, like, I enjoy spending, aside from showings and stuff, of course, but spending the moment that he gets off school to the moment that he goes to bed every day. So that's what I'm doing this for.
You're like a stay-at-home dad too.
Hell yeah.
That's impressive.
But I'm not going to get it twisted. My wife is at home, and she's got the biggest job out of all of us. She has to put up with both of us and take care of us. So yeah, I've got it pretty easy, to be honest, really.
Well, I think that's why so many of us get into real estate. Well, it's not always as flexible as we would like it to be. There is a high level of flexibility to it, right? Where we can go to our kids' games, and we can switch things around so we can pick them up and do all the stuff that you're saying. And that's really what I've always loved about being in real estate for the last 20 years.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. That ability to be flexible, and you just have to put the onus and the responsibility on yourself to hold yourself accountable. That you have to, like, in my mind, I earn that time. Like, I don't have to, I earn that time. So I earn to have that privilege and that chance to do that. It's not just because, we're real estate brokers and we're like, oh yeah, we're real estate brokers, we can do whatever we want. It's like, well, we can, but we have to earn that spot to do that, to make it work. Otherwise, we're going to end up like the majority of the rest of the numbers that are in and then out before you can sneeze, right?
Yeah, I've just read an article from Inman this morning that this was actually in the US, so not Canada, but less than 25% of agents in the US closed a deal last year. So that was a very low number, or low percentage.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty scary. Yeah.
Pretty scary.
Okay, I have to ask an obvious question. That you're with eXp Realty, correct?
Yeah.
And how long have you been with the brokerage?
It has, has it been? It's been 4 or 5 years already.
Okay, so let's talk about, you said you've been in real estate for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
So you were who were you with? Were you with like a independent brokerage prior, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we were a boutique brokerage, Capital Homes, and I loved it there. I loved the team. I loved the group, and it was awesome. I've always kind of been a lone wolf anyway, so I'm always doing my own thing. But it was great. There was solid training, really, really good people that I'm very close to still today. And it's funny how it happened, because I was, a lot of people were trying to recruit me to, jump ship, move over, this and that. But I am very loyal. So it was always like, I'll take the coffee and don't mind like networking and connecting with you. But, right off the bat, like, I'm not looking to make any moves. And funny enough, there was an agent, a broker, that had been in the game a lot longer than I had, who I really respected, especially the hustle. And he was like, like, no pressure, but are you open to taking a lunch? And we were doing lunches every couple months. And, he was always, I knew what he was doing. I knew what the intentions were, but he was very professional about it. And funny enough, it came to a point where he was moving his brokerage and amalgamating, like he was moving it under the EXP umbrella. And he actually brokered for Capital Homes, the brokerage I was with, to move under the EXP umbrella at the same time. And I didn't know this. So we all ended up moving over together. It was a big group. Of course, it really benefited him very well, because it created a really nice line for him. But But yeah, so then we all started working together, and one of my, like I said, I'm a lone wolf. So one of my, no, I don't want to say demands, but one of my requests to move over to EXP was that all correspondence, from the EXP side really went through my main admin. I didn't want to be, I'm not a real big company rah guy, and I definitely didn't want to be bogged down with communications going back from me to EXP and so forth. I didn't know what to expect because I had never been at a bigger brokerage, right? So they agreed to that, agreed to let me, at that point, I kind of separated from the group in terms of like the Capital Homes group. I moved and started the Sean Frost real estate team at that time. And it's been really smooth sailing since. Yeah, I've multi-time icon, and it's just been, I have no complaints. I'm certainly not looking to go anywhere else.
Ooh, I'm so glad I went there because, I'm not sure if you have folks in your downline that you focus on revenue share or not, but these two girls, it's our number one, number one primarily goal is to
build our organization.
Now Nation, which we're really committed to. So it's good to hear that we assumed you were still happy with EXP because you're still here, and you touched on being an icon. I mean, tell our listeners what it's meant to because we talk about it and it sounds so great, but really truly, how has it impacted your life?
To be a real estate broker?
No, an icon agent. Icon agent and being with
an icon agent.
Did I stump you?
No, it's just the answer is probably not the one that we're hoping for, but it honestly, it just adds fuel to the fire. So in terms of, that award actually doing anything on its own, truthfully, no. But it is very nice to get recognized, and it is a very, very good motivator and indicator to this day. Like I'm looking at it above the computer right now. Like I've got, a few of them sitting up there, and when the day seems long or when things aren't going my way, that's where the importance, it's a personal thing, right? So that's where it becomes important to me because I can, if I'm looking up to the sky, well, if that's what I'm looking at, then it's like, okay, like, it's going to be okay, man. Just take a deep breath and like calm your chakras, So, it's a very good achievement, and it just helps add fuel to the fire to motivate me to obviously do something bigger and better. And that's always what I'm striving for. I'm very hesitant on getting complacent. I never want to get too comfortable and let things pass me by because I'm not interested in chasing to catch up. I'm interested in running as fast as I can to stay ahead.
Mm-hmm. He's the lone wolf, Michelle, so he doesn't care about no icon award.
It's just snowing awards in his office, right? And snowing like stock awards and giving back to other agents, and
So it helped motivate. The award that sticks out to me the most recent one that the biggest, most recent one that I received was, it was across Canada. And again, if I wasn't doing the production and having the support through EXP that I'm getting, I might not have reached this, but I was able to win an award across Canada for giving back to the community powered through soccer. And I did that with the professional soccer team, but I wouldn't have had all the resources at my disposal if I hadn't have been so successful in real estate, because it's not free to do all this.
Right. Now, did you grow up playing soccer?
I did. I play soccer. I still play. So I play soccer and I play hockey. I played really serious soccer as a kid, and then quit when I probably shouldn't have, and then came back and started playing serious and then blew out my knee. So now I'm just playing co-ed for fun, but still once a week.
That's awesome. My cousin just retired, professional soccer player Megan Rapinoe, and I was
That's your cousin?
That's my cousin.
She always drops it like subtle.
Geez.
Oh
yeah, like no, I'm just gonna name drop obviously
you may or may not know her.
Biggest professional female football player
of all time.
Yeah. I know, and I did not get the same athletic genes. I mean, I played sports, but I definitely did not. I don't have anything under my belt from the Olympics or FIFA or any of that stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm with you on that.
Before we wrap up, you mentioned, giving accolades. I don't want to make this be like a EXP, dump. However,
Yeah.
you touched on how the organization allowed you to like really grow and then, do some more things specific to giving back. But it's so true because there's an EXP agent in Canada, Evan. I can't remember his last name. Does that ring any bells?
Wolfpack, right?
Yeah, he's part of Wolfpack. I met him through another EXP agent. Gosh, I don't know how many months ago, but through that connection, I asked him who he uses for editing on his YouTube channel, and we're using that editor for this podcast.
It's from Canada.
It's from
Amazing,
Canada.
right?
Like none of that would have ever happened for us if we didn't have this amazing connection with this global organization. It's like insane to think about.
Well, I just
It is very cool. It is very cool. I like the connectivity. And again, it's kind of the best of both worlds in my situation, because like I do have the support. There are a lot of things and benefits that are offered, but then I'm really granted that independence to go and do my own thing. So I can't complain. I actually went down. I had a meeting with Ryan Serhant a couple of years ago. He's my mentor on the real estate side, and he was chatting to me about a few things, and I was like, no, I'm staying in Canada. I'm good where I'm at. And that's kind of the reason why the podcast guest appearances started, because he said, get into, start sharing your story and your hustle and your drive, get out there and start doing some public speaking. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, okay, start a podcast. I'm like, no, that's a ton of work. I'm not able to commit to that. I don't have it in me. I'm not doing that either. And he's like, okay, start getting yourself on podcasts, get your team getting you on podcast spots, share your story, give some insight, and build your connections. And I'm like, that I can do.
Oh,
And here we are.
here we are.
Here we are.
Well, I just have to say, I think it's funny. It's like, since you're in Canada, do you know Evan in Canada?
Evan Young. Well, I thought it might be like John. It's like Randy
or
Burr.
Nicole, our editor.
But you know what I'm saying?
Nicole
Like
and Evan, you don't know them?
Evan Young. I looked up his last name. Does that jog any memory?
Evan Young, no. Do you know like maybe what side of the country he lives on, or?
Let me see. St. John, New Brunswick.
Okay, so East Coast. No, I've never been out to the East Coast actually.
Okay, well,
Now we know. Now we know.
You'll get if I am in St. John when I do a maritime trip, I will look out for him.
yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
All roads lead back to EXP in some way or another.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been so great to meet you. What an impressive career you've had so far. I got to check out some more about this artist that you've got. We're into the beats for sure.
We are. We like rap.
Nice. So his name's Two Time. So it's TWOTIIME. So yeah, at Two Time, and then I have another artist that I'm working with too. He's like a more trap EDM, but raps. His name's Justin Diamond.
Cool.
And I manage a wrestler as well, so you can look out for Josh Bishop too. He's out of Cleveland.
Wow.
Way to drop that at the very end.
Man, might as well. Yeah, we're my son is obsessed with wrestling, so I'm a big wrestling guy too. And I met this dude a few years ago, and he's on the come up, just rehabbing an injury. But he'll be making his pro debut very, very shortly, and he's got it. So lots of fun things on the horizon.
Very cool.
So
Congrats
cool.
again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Congrats to you guys too.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Before we sign off, tell our listeners where they can, start connecting with you.
Yeah, for sure. So the easiest spot is Instagram. Emails and all that stuff are great, but Instagram is definitely the platform that I'm the most engaged and the most active on. So
you only have I was going to make a joke. You only have 200 followers.
Yeah.
It's like 200,000.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was like, oh my God, did my account get hacked? It's like, no, I had to work hard.
You see his face out there. You're all 200. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So that's definitely the platform that I use. It really is the only social media platform that I actually really, really give time to. I know that's not the smartest thing. That's just the way it is. So at I am Sean Frost, and yeah, don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. And then, of course, you can find us on Instagram, all things twists and Ask the General. And then go on our YouTube channel for the Now Podcast for Real, where you can comment, make sure you subscribe, hit this guy up. We'll be looking for any comments that we can, or questions or anything we can answer. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Sean, thank you so much for joining us.
And that's a wrap. Thanks, Mr. Frost.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.